Welcome to Big Brother Basics, where we break down the basics of Big Brother Canada 3. My name's Jacob Harple, and joining with me, as always, the fantastic, the most fabulous, Keith Guerrero. How are you doing tonight, Keith?
Fantastic, fabulous. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And by my side, the ecstatic, the voluptuous Aaron Nunley.
Oh my god.
How are you, Aaron?
I'm good, and I guess voluptuous.
Thank
so
you.
Thanks for your adjectives and all of that.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We have the nomination episode. We also had, I guess it was technically like an HOH nomination episode. So a bunch of crazy stuff happened. What did you think of the episode, Keith, as a whole?
As a whole, it really showed me that a lot of the Big Brother players inside the house like to act like they're not playing Big Brother, but those are the players that are succeeding the most. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems that some people in the house are definitely getting punished for choosing sides. We'll kind of talk about that in a little bit because I've got a few thoughts on, who should be punished and who should be rewarded or put in a good spot. But you know what? We'll get to that. First thing I want to talk about is the HOH competition. So it's the OxiClean obstacle course. And, I feel like the strategy is simple. Just find the letters, put them up. First one to spell the phrase wins. And we see Bruno get off to a really good start. And we also get a DR from Zach saying, part of him really wants to just beast out this competition, but he doesn't want to win. Do you think this was the right mindset to have for Zach, Keith?
100%. I thought it was a terrible idea for Zach to even have an HOH advantage. So I'm glad that he controlled his competitive nature and allowed somebody else to win because he's in a really great spot. He doesn't need to win HOH. I know it's hard to know that inside the house, but I think that he does have a good hand in all the cookie jars inside the house, and right now would not be a good time to say which cookies he prefers.
Agree. One thing I thought was really interesting during the competition was we got a lot of confessionals from Godfrey, and as soon as he realized that he was pretty much out of the running for the HOH, instead of finding letters for himself, he started finding letters to help his main man, Bruno. What did you think of that strategy, Aaron? Did you think it was kind of unfair, kind of cheap, or totally?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's within the rules. I mean, they didn't tell them they couldn't do it, so
right.
Even though I don't really care for either one of those players, they're smart and they did it. So kudos to them, and bad for you, Johnny, for not thinking of it. Even though you're trying to do it to Zach, and Zach wasn't going to try to win. So
yeah, they definitely would have put their washcloths in the wrong dryer.
Yeah.
Clothesline. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's keep going. So Bruno wins HOH, and we have officially been introduced to what I like to call the hashtag Bruno has a baby. All we heard was him talking about his family. What did you think about that, Keith?
Oh my gosh, I hate talking about people's feelings. Bruno's reactions were so over the top, his hands going above his face, pulling his baseball cap above his eyes. I'm like, God, calm down. Shit, it's only been 20 days. You need to learn how to detach yourself. Have you ever been to 5 different elementary schools? I have. I just detached. Detached. Just have to go to the new place and adjust. So I don't understand why people are so upset. I mean, come on, Bruno. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Stop crying.
Man, you are heartless, Keith.
Hey,
I am.
I moved middle schools once. So I know how it feels. That's all.
you and Bruno, like this. I didn't mind it.
It hurt.
I thought it was enduring. I wish we didn't hear about it every 5 minutes, but well, I guess I can't really relate to him. I don't know why I was going to say that.
Actually, I'd like to mention that overall, because you didn't ask me, but that's okay. This episode was really repetitive. I feel like we had 3 topics and it just kept on going over and over. So you had to hear about his parents. You had to hear or see Sarah crying. A lot of it is just repetitive. What, Keith? What?
I just want to emphasize the shade that was thrown to Jacob and the eye roll that was associated with it.
No, I think Aaron brings up a really good point. There's this big theme I think that we just got over and over again through Sarah. It was just like, I'm screwed. My alliance sucks. And that was one of the big storylines. So let's go ahead and talk about it, because as soon as Bruno wins, Sarah knows that she is in trouble. Do you think that Sarah maybe kind of had a little bit of a meltdown this episode? Because I feel like she was maybe overreacting about a few things. What were your thoughts, Keith?
Yeah, Sarah, I think places a lot of stress on herself, and that's evident not only in the Big Brother house, but also inside the Big Brother competition. Like, when she was sitting on that slide, like, waiting for her death, just, like, to go down, I'm like, girl, your life is at stake. You need to just go. But, like, she overthinks it, and she stresses herself out. And even with, like, the spinning yarn thing, how she, like, got claustrophobic and needed to let go, she just needs to honestly breathe and just, like, relax. And I think that's because she's so tense inside the Big Brother house, and she's constantly thinking that she's the only one playing, and she's such a victim because nobody else is playing the game just like her. I think it's definitely detrimental. It's kind of like a negative way of thinking, which may be why she's ostracized inside the house.
You know why? We talked about it. Because she hasn't had a little bit of something for a minute.
She's going cold turkey, and it's
coming back.
It's having an effect on her.
Oh, boy.
I sympathize with Sarah in a way. Like, I get it. Like, it wasn't just it was less than a week ago that you were in power. All these people were coming to you. You had this alliance called the Hexagon that was created. You feel like you're on the top of the world, and then all of a sudden, power shift. And now she's kind of seeing who her real allies are, the people that are actually going up to bat for her, which honestly is no one. Like, even Brittany, someone that I would have considered Sarah's closest ally, really the only thing we saw from Brittany today was just her talking to Bruno and just making sure that she wasn't going on the black. Yeah, and then after that, just like, all right, well, I'm good to go. What did you think about Brittany's conversation with Bruno? Do you think she maybe should have tried to do a little bit more, or do you think she did as much as she could? What are your thoughts, Aaron?
I think she did what she needed to do, because after having gone after his best friend in the house, you're in no position to, like, try to save someone else. Your priority is yourself. So unfortunately, she couldn't save her girl Sarah, but you gotta look out for you. You didn't walk in the house with Sarah. So
I agree. What are your thoughts, Keith? Because you look like you disagree.
I co-sign with everything that Aaron said. Like,
wow.
He took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to commend Brittany on her move for looking out for number one, coming off her HOH reign. She just needs to make sure she's back to, that type of Brittany, like, floater type of player. But and that's exactly where she is. And she avoided the nomination block. So good for her. It seems like she had a really successful HOH reign.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this about Brittany. It's pretty awesome that she was the HOH that got rid of Bruno's number one ally. And not only is she not on the block, but Bruno even told her she's not going up on the block, which I think, I think it kind of, I think it has to do with the fact that, like we were talking about last week, a lot of people don't really see Brittany as the mastermind. They think everything she does is being controlled by Johnny and by Sarah. And although that is frustrating for, Brittany, because she wants to be viewed as a serious player, it's almost a good thing, because now that the other side has won HOH, she's not even the main target. People are so focused on Johnny's one veto win. He's all of a sudden a competition beast, that they completely ignored how, Brittany just as easily beast that endurance competition last week. So, if Brittany tried to bend over backwards for any of her allies, all it was going to do was hurt her. Kind of like what Greg did after Brittany won HOH. He tried to, like, force his targets onto her, and it just totally gave them a terrible taste in the mouth. Bruno's not a stupid player. You're not going to go up to him and be able to convince him to put up, like, Bobby and Godfrey. That's just not going to happen. Someone on your side is going home. I think the most important thing you could do is just make sure it's not you.
Amen.
So yeah, but let's go ahead and go back to this Hexagon Alliance. Are you surprised to see that it kind of maybe not shattered, but it's definitely not as solid as it seemed to be last week, Keith. Are you surprised that I guess Newport and Kevin have pretty much just kind of left the girls out to dry?
See, like I forgot about the Hexagon Alliance, which just proves. I'm sorry?
As soon as the laundry was left out to dry,
I'm coming up with some good puns, Keith. I just want to make sure that you're aware of them.
Oh, thank you for that. Anyway, so about the Hexagon Alliance, I completely like forgot about the Hexagon Alliance existing. But no, I think that Newport is doing exactly what they need to do. They need to flip sides. They're basically doing a great job of like Survivors type of style gameplay. There's like two separate tribes, and they're just flipping to the powers week to week. They're gonna get caught eventually, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that they can pull it off for now.
About the getting caught thing, I was talking to Jacob about it earlier. If they're trying to take out Sarah's side and the strongest person on that side being Johnny, then what's to say that that side won't win HOH ever again, and it's just going to be one-sided? Like you're not flip-flopping between sides if the strongest person, if the weakest people are left. There's not going to be like a power shift. It's going to stay on one side. So I don't know. I feel like them staying in the middle is good, but I feel like they could have, their best bet might have been to get rid of Sarah, not because she's like an HOH threat, but if Johnny were to stay and win HOH, he's not going after Newport.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, they're playing a very reactionary game, which I think is working out for them as of right now. They've basically formulated an alliance on each side of the house. Whichever side wins, that's the flag that they're going to be waving around for that week. And I think it's a good strategy for these first couple of weeks. If one side definitely starts picking off a lot of the players on the other side, I think their next move should probably be to rally up all the stragglers. And they've already got those girls on lock from what we've seen today. They've got Ashley, they've got Pilar. And then, just see what happens. But I think they have to be careful because, even though Sarah, in my opinion, might have overreacted just a tad about the undying loyalty of that Hexagon Alliance, I think she is picking up of the signs that, maybe these guys aren't so die hard for me. Maybe the things that they're telling me are things that they're telling to every other side of the house. So it could be interesting to see if anything blows up because of that. So let's talk about Bruno's targets. So he wanted to target Johnny and Sarah. But another thing that he had in the back of his mind is Kevin. He had a conversation with Kevin where Kevin, basically tried to make it sound like he was totally fine with Bruno. And Bruno's just saying, you know what? I don't know if he's playing the middle or if he's on the other side. The only thing I know for sure is that he's not on my side. What are your thoughts on this relationship between Bruno and Kevin? Would it be in Bruno's best interest to take out a player like Kevin?
I'm not sure. Because it came kind of out of left field that Kevin and Bruno had, difficult, they don't trust each other. But I get it. I see it. Kevin's the most threatening person outside of the chop shop. So I get why he's threatened by Kevin. But I don't know. A part of me thinks that it would be good to get rid of Kevin because Johnny and Sarah are always going to be on the outs, whereas Kevin's going to suck up to whoever's in power. So I don't know. I always think that Kevin's untrustworthy. So if I were Bruno, I'd be like, you're going out the door. So I don't know. What do you think, Aaron?
I feel like if he was going to go after Kevin, he shouldn't do it now because he's already put up Sarah and Johnny. And I do agree, Kevin is a threat in himself, just as that entity, but I don't know. And I mean, you also have to deal with, I don't know how Bruno's relationship is with the other random people, like Pilar, but that's her man, and she might feel some sort of way. And she might grab an HOH out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think that Bruno's playing it the perfect way possible, because even though Johnny and Kevin really aren't that close, if you put yourself in Bruno's shoes, we just saw Johnny use the veto on Kevin last week to backdoor Greg. Um, and so, he says that Johnny is a threat because of his competition status, but who's the real competition threat in this house? It's Kevin. He's won, I think, three, no, I think just two HOHs. They're a POV and an HOH. I don't know. He's won a lot of competitions.
He's won a lot of HOHs.
Yeah, he's won a lot of stuff. So I think what he's doing is perfect because in his mind, Johnny is his target. He's putting up Sarah and Johnny. So in a way, he's taking a shot at Kevin without really taking a shot at him. He's getting rid of Johnny, someone that he believes has Kevin's back, someone that Kevin is working with. But what he's also keeping in the back of the mind is, if Johnny does win veto or if Sarah wins veto, I have to put someone else up. That's when I want to take my shot at Kevin. I don't want to take a shot at Kevin unless I know he's going to be on the block post veto. And, I think if Johnny were to win, that would be a great opportunity for Bruno to kind of make nice with Sarah, Brittany, and Johnny and backdoor Kevin. So I don't know. I think as of right now, it's not a good initial plan, but it's a good backup plan if something weird goes with the veto, which could definitely happen due to the veto twist, and just kind of play it by ear. So yeah.
Whatever.
So let's talk about the conversation that Ashley, Pilar, and Sarah have. Pretty much just about showmances. And I have to preface this saying, I love Pilar, but
I know.
I get it. We've talked about this week after week. Her strategical prowess is an absolute zero. She's almost nowhere when it comes to like DRs. And what really disappointed me when she was talking about her relationship with Kevin, it's like, she's like, I have to be careful. And I was like, okay, here we go. We've got some game talk. She wants to be careful because she doesn't want to get, played. But it seems like she's just concerned that she just wants to be careful to make sure her feelings doesn't get hurt if Kevin gets evicted. She's not thinking about the strategical elements of this relationship at all. In her mind, she's just like, oh, it would really suck if he got evicted. And that's it. Well, what do you think about the Kevin-Pilar relationship, Keith?
Well, I'll tell you what I thought about the conversation between Ashley and Pilar, because I thought that was very interesting. They were talking about boy talk, and I think Ashley helped. I think Ashley helped translate what their conversation was about in her DRs. Because even though Ashley's part of the Chop Shop, she was like, Pilar's my girl, and Pilar is with Kevin, so I can be with Kevin. So I think that was an interesting element that maybe a backdoor with Kevin, even if Kevin was nominated post-veto, Kevin may not be voted out, like based on some random votes within Chop Shop itself with Ashley. So I thought that was a very interesting element of the game. But Pilar is killing the social game. She's really working the whole, I'm not playing Big Brother, I'm here for summer camp, and I just want to get along with everybody.
It's
so
pretty
good. What?
I said it's pretty authentic. She's being pretty authentic about it.
Sure, we can call it authenticity. But no, I do enjoy Pilar and Ashley's relationship, and I wonder what it would be like if Pilar had to make some executive decisions, but she just doesn't. So,
do you think that it's gonna, the fact that they were so open about the fact that they were talking about showmances to Sarah, do you think that was a smart move? Because
Sarah just ran to her DR and was like, "Must be nice." So like, it's jealousy. Like, it's fine.
It wasn't even a DR. She said, "I don't even have that problem."
Yeah,
she said it like right out there to them.
Yeah.
But Pilar's so like in dreamland, and she's just like, yeah, it is nice.
Do you think that either Ashley or Pilar would backstab their showmance if needed? Aaron,
Ashley would,
but not Pilar.
I don't think Pilar would.
What about you, Keith?
I think they both would under the circumstances.
You'd have to put a gun to Pilar's head.
I wouldn't say so. Like, I think she is so aloof that if she thinks that the best move for her is voting out Kevin, she'll do it.
I'm gonna
Kevin, all he has to do is just get a little close to her, and she's like, "Yeah, you're right. That isn't the right move. I'm saving you."
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, but I think I'm gonna agree with Aaron. I don't think Pilar would. I think Pilar will be loyal to Kevin till the very end, and it's probably honestly, I don't think Kevin's gonna be in the game longer than Pilar, so I don't think it's really gonna make a difference. Ashley, I want to believe that she'll backstab Zach if need be. I'm a little hesitant. I'm not sure. It seems like she's pretty loyal to Zach and Pilar as of right now, but I'm hoping when faced with the late game and being close to the end that she would be smart enough to realize that she wouldn't have a chance of beating Zach.
My ideal scenario, my ideal thing to come into fruition is if, say, both those power couples aligned and made it far in the game, that Pilar and Ashley would team up and take out the boys. I think that would be fantastic.
That would be interesting. Do you think is Sarah justified with being so frustrated with all the other girls in the house for just kind of being in relationships, or I guess more or less floating by while she's like rallying up on the opposite side of the house and being punished for it? What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to feel like you're the only person playing the game, but she also has to realize that she's kind of responsible with where she's at inside the house. Like, she just didn't develop the social ties as well as other people. She was ostracizing herself with Neha and Johnny, was comfortable with that side, was ecstatic when Brittany was like, yeah, she won HOH, she's from Ponda Queen, basically making herself, like, alone. So I think that Sarah's a sinking ship. But the thing that's going for her is that she's not strong in competition, so maybe that the opposing side would want to keep her in longer because of it.
I agree with that completely. And I also think, like, sometimes there's always like a mistake that someone makes every week, and hers was being so out there. Like we already mentioned, Brittany was HOH, and she wasn't even all out there. Like, if you're gonna stay, like, you were on the top some weeks and you're winning HOH, and then when your enemy wins HOH, like, she went all the way from here all the way to the bottom. So that's like a long drop. So, like, it hit her really hard, and I don't know. It sucks because I feel like in any other circumstance, like, she'd be like a cool level. Like, if they didn't just come off of an HOH win and it was just like a normal week and she got nominated, like, I don't think she would be half as dramatic as she's being right now. But because of how far of a drop she took, she's feeling really emotional right now.
So do you think Brittany's HOH train went to Sarah's head?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so. I think like what we said a little bit earlier. I think, Sarah, as much as she wants to, claim she's this fembot, the circuitry and wires line, I think she is an emotional personality. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think that the game is kind of getting to her. And she, just last week, she was in a position of power. She had all these people flocking to her. She thought she was in a great position. Now she's not in power anymore. She's on the block. She's at the bottom of the bottom. And it's definitely messing with her mind. I think it's unfair for her to say that, she's getting punished for playing the game. She is not the only one playing this game. It's just people have done, it's like, exactly, like even Zach said in the beginning of the episode, this game is about social manipulation. And people have set themselves up in very, very good spots because of their social gameplay and the way that they've set up all the different divides in the house. So I can understand why Sarah would be frustrated with people like Pilar and Ashley. But, how many times have we seen girls ride strong male players as coattails and it gets them to the very, very, very end and they're able to win, so I think I can understand why she's being frustrated, but I think it's unfair for her to be so negative about them. Sarah is a very outspoken individual. This isn't a spoiler, but on the live feeds, she wears the fact that she's a super fan on her sleeve daily. Her and Jordan are especially bad about this. So she's kind of painted this like super fan target on herself. And I don't think she really has had the greatest social game in order to lay back in the background, which I think is what Brittany has over her. So that's just kind of my thoughts on Sarah. I do think she's a great player, and I think she's got great perception, but you can't just know what's going on. You need to know what's going on and then be able to implement a strategy and, have pull on the house to change what's going on. And I think that's where she's having a lot of trouble.
And also, I just think in general, knowing how people perceive you. So, like, she thinks that no one's playing the game, but everybody really is, and they're making it seem like they're not playing. And that's what she's failing to do. She's showing everybody that she's playing the game when you don't need to do that. You need to kind of step back a little bit, especially since you weren't HOH, girl. You weren't even HOH.
I know. It's like I think she did a really bad job. Like, I think people automatically assumed she was running Brittany's HOH, but I don't think she did anything to disprove it.
Yeah.
Which I don't really know how you would go about that, but, it is what it is, and she's just going to have to deal with that and hope that she can make something happen with the veto.
Learn from this.
Learn from this experience, Sarah. Learn from this experience. So let's see. Let's talk about Johnny. We didn't really see that much from Johnny. The first thing we really got from him was him Googling over Bobby's waxed chest. And that was
Pilar's other performance inside the Big Brother game. Thank you so much, Pilar, for putting wax on Bobby's chest. Very relevant.
Yeah. And then after that, the only other thing we got from Johnny was him having a conversation with Bruno. What do you think of Johnny's strategy? Is there really anything he could have done to get himself out of the situation, or was he dead man walking as soon as Bruno won HOH?
I thought his conversation with Bruno was pretty good. Like, for him being, like, the main target, like, I thought he handled himself really well. And, it's just one of those, fact of the matter is what it is. We can be cool outside this game, but I just don't see a benefit with you inside this game. I see a benefit with everyone else over you, but you're still a cool guy. You're just going home.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Johnny's game, Aaron?
I mean, I do think he didn't have a shot. His shot was winning HOH, and he didn't do that. So poor Johnny.
So, yeah. His next shot will be trying to win veto.
Or trying to rope on everybody, or all the males. I'm sorry.
Do you think there's a chance that Sarah might make herself the target with her? I guess I don't want to call it a meltdown. I don't think it's that severe, but it's she's definitely freaking out a little bit. Or do you think if nominations stay the same, you think Johnny's done deal? What do you think, Keith?
I think Johnny's very level-headed, and he's easy to live with, whereas Sarah's kind of like here and there and is not easy to live with. So if it's a matter of preference and if people just get annoyed with Sarah, they could send her packing. But I think the house guests this season are really smart, and they're going to vote out the person that they think is the best move strategically for their game, and that'll be Johnny.
Her saying that they're smart and they kept Bobby over Greg.
I'd say so.
No.
Greg's hard to live with.
So, move along. You don't want this.
We'll have a Greg versus Bobby debate episode. So yeah, I think the best move is for them to take out Johnny, especially if you're like Bruno or Bobby and who are very paranoid about Kevin. They definitely want to take out a number, and I think someone like Johnny has proven himself to be more aligned with Kevin than someone like Sarah. So that's just my thoughts. So let's see. So Johnny and Sarah become the nominations. So let me ask you a question, Keith, because I think the big thing that we got from this episode was Sarah is pretty much done with all of the guys in the Hexagon Alliance. Do you think that it would be smart for her to maybe throw those guys under the bus, or do you think that's just a little bit too Hail Mary and it might be a little bit too risky?
I mean, if I was in Sarah's position inside the house, I wouldn't know what to do because my options are severely limited, and I would just reflect. I would actually take time by myself inside my bed and just sit down and think, why am I here? What friends do I have? How can I make it farther in the game? How come I'm not involved with any showmances? How come everybody else is? Where's Willow? Like, those are all questions that should be running through my head.
Willow was there. She was getting shot.
Yeah, she was stuck in the
I know what I'm talking
backyard, just
Getting shocked
shaking
already.
shaking it out, punching the mazes down.
I don't know. If I was in Sarah's position this week, I would definitely just try to get some alone time and try to, like, mentally prepare myself to maybe think of doing things different. I mean, she has, like, pretty terrible allies at this point, so, hey, maybe your biggest enemies inside the house, you should maybe turn to them and be like, hey, so I tried working with these people, didn't work out. How about I just work with y'all and get rid of these floaters? So, who knows?
That's something that maybe her and Bruno would have in common, the fact that their allies are so terrible. But I don't think Brittany's a terrible player. She might not be the best ally because she's kind of like out for himself, but you know, when is that a bad thing? You know, to have someone look out for themselves.
That's selfish.
It's selfish, but it's gonna get you to the end. Yeah, I agree. I think especially if you're Sarah, because as of right now, it seems like she's not in any danger of going home. Johnny's the one that's the big target. So if she were to throw all these people under the bus, I think really the only thing I think it's a huge risk because she is you don't know how the house would perceive that. It kind of shows that, oh, how can I trust myself to be in alliance with Sarah if she's just going to throw everyone under the bus the moment that her back is against the wall. Now, if I'm Johnny, that's where things get tricky because if he doesn't win veto, he's probably in a tough spot. So I think the best thing that Johnny might want to do is maybe try and feed into that paranoia that Sarah has, get her to try and do something crazy or off the wall and hope that that has blowback and sends her home instead of him.
Yep.
But he's too busy rubbing on bodies.
He's too busy.
Let me get the lotion. Let me get the lotion.
No, you need to be getting votes, Johnny. You got to be getting votes. But yeah, so I think Monday's episode is going to be really interesting, mostly because we have that huge veto twist. Do you think that this twist is going to shake up the target of the week and have a huge impact, Keith?
I'm really, really excited. I hope that the veto gets used. And yeah, I think this is a perfect opportunity, especially coming after, I guess, like an underdog HOA train for two potentially deadly veto twists to have Bruno get even more enemies because apparently 10 people will be coming after him if Sarah and Johnny doesn't go home.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so what is the word I'm looking for?
She flipped out when she heard that, which I was like, my reaction to that, I was like, Sarah, come on, are you falling for this? Like, of course Bruno is going to say, like, if I don't, then 10 people are going to target me. And Sarah takes that information and is like, oh my God, everyone in the house is against me. And I'm like, Sarah, like, of course he's going to say that. Like, what is he going to say? Like, what's Bruno? Bruno's
My
a smart guy.
alliance of A, B,
Yeah,
C,
it's
and D.
CG. Yeah. Oh, I really want you out of this game. Like, I think that just kind of strengthened my idea that Sarah is just kind of very paranoid right now.
She's having a bad week.
She's having a very bad week.
Not only a bad week, but a bad weave.
Yeah.
But they got washed this week, so I want to throw that out there.
Luckily, she's not a have-not.
Thanks to OxyClean.
Thanks, OxyClean.
Yes, that's true. That's very, very true. So, I don't know. I think Bruno is playing this HOH pretty smart. If the veto twist throws a wrench in the plan, who do you think is in the most trouble if the veto gets used or if a double veto gets used?
If the double veto gets used, then I think Bruno has no option but to try to attempt to get rid of Kevin. That could actually benefit him getting rid of Kevin because he could just nominate Pilar up with them, and nobody's going to vote Pilar home, so Kevin would definitely get out the door then. But if it's like the forced veto, that's when things get tricky because, like, he wants Johnny or Sarah to go, and if he puts up Kevin, he's going to get a lot more enemies than, like, I guess, effectiveness. So he'd have to put upon someone like Brittany, but he said Brittany wouldn't go up, so I can't imagine who he would nominate because I don't know his relationships, but it seems to be pretty positive for everyone. But he would need a pawn-like figure to get rid of the other person.
Yeah. I think that if the veto gets used, period, I think Kevin's in the most danger. Because, you know, I think it depends how strong his relationship with Brittany is, how much close they have gotten, if they've worked out any deals moving forward. Because if it's just the force veto and he just puts up Brittany, I think that pretty much just kind of ruins his chances with working with anyone on that side of the house. I think whether it's the force veto, if the double veto gets used, I think Kevin's got to go up, or Kevin in a pond. So
Kevin in a pond.
Kevin in a pond. Coming soon. So I just want to check in and see what you think at this time. I want to know who you believe is in the best position and who you think is in the worst position. So Keith,
I'll go first.
Yeah.
So the person in the worst position is obviously Johnny and Sarah. But what's interesting is that usually I root for people that are in bad positions, but I'm okay with Johnny and Sarah both going home. Like, I'm ready for like the other groups that are in great positions to start turning on each other. So I'm ready kind of just for like the people that are at the edge to just get pushed off the edge. And speaking in terms of who's in the best position, right now, I'm really digging Ashley. I just can't help it. Like, I think there's a lot of elements to her game. She is in the Chop Shop Alliance. She has a showmance thing. She's really close with Peely, who's close with Kevin. So I think there's a lot of things working for her. She wasn't initially in this Newport Alliance and now thinking that they're like puppeteering everybody, but are eventually going to get caught for overplaying. I think Ashley's playing a really good game. I think she's in the best position.
All right, Aaron, what do you think?
Well, dang. My best position was going to be Ashley. And I still will say Ashley, even though you snatched it. But yeah, her being in the Chop Shop, her having her man Zach, and Pilar, and I don't know, she's just really good position. Definitely a better than I thought she would coming from like week 1. And then the worst position probably Johnny, being on the block, being the target, being such a competition threat for all the competitions he's won this season. but he is a social threat, so there's that. So yeah, he's in the worst position.
I really don't want to say the same thing, so I'll probably try and mix it up. I do think Ashley is in one of the best positions, but I'll go ahead and say Jordan. I think Jordan is just a player that's covered in all angles. I don't think anyone has said his name either, along with Ashley's. You know, if Newport does get found out or targeted, I guarantee you Zach is probably going to be the one that goes instead of him. So at least he has that. He also has a strong relationship with Kevin, where Kevin seems to be very loyal to. So I think Jordan just needs to cut it out with the superfan stuff. Like, it's like he's constantly reminding people, like, oh, hey, I know everything about this game. You know?
I'm just like you.
Yeah. So I think, which is, it's fine right now, but once it starts getting down to the small numbers, it's gonna be a big target on his back. Worst position, I mean, I think it's pretty easy. Sarah and Johnny. I think if the veto isn't used, I think Johnny is totally screwed. I think Sarah, depending on how this return twist comes back, I think Sarah is just gonna still melt down. I think she's gonna kind of realize how bad of a position she might be. I'm really hoping she turns it around though and tries to make a power play, maybe against the people that are right in the middle. We could see like Bobby and Bruno and Godfrey align with Brittany and Sarah. Maybe Neha if she comes back.
What a group.
Yeah, what a casserole of players. But who knows? Who knows? I just want her to do something smart and try and get herself out of this position instead of just laying down and die. But we'll just see. You don't like that alliance?
No, I'm imagining like their group meeting, like their it's just Neha with some attitude, and everybody's just kind of like.
They could call it the chicken feet alliance. Over Godfrey's,
chicken feet.
Chicken
we have
feet.
to have chicken feet and cookies.
Have you ever had chicken feet, Keith?
It is.
What?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, Keith, do you have anything else that you want to add about the episode? Anything else we missed?
No, I think we're good. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely want to tune in for Monday night's episode. We're going to see some crazy stuff go down, hopefully, because of the Big Brother veto twist. So you definitely want to watch the episode, and you definitely want to catch our breakdown on everything that went down. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Jacob Harple, at Sarcastivities, at Most Humble. Also subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook. We love talking about the episode as it airs. We love hearing your feedback, what you think's going on, any questions you might have. We want to know. So, and with nothing else to add, I'm just, stay basic.
Stay basic.
Basic. Bye.